What's up guys, and welcome back to some more Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage, and today we are starting the Pokemon Sun and Moon Johto Mega Evolution speculation section. So part 1's here, and we're going to go through the Johto Pokemon, speculate on what Megas we could see, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So as always, let's just jump in and have a look what's up first. Obviously we're starting with the starters though, so the first Pokemon we're looking at is Meganium, so Mega type. So Meganium obviously is the grass, the final evolution of Chikorita, the grass type starter for the Johto region, and is a pure grass type. In terms of what typing we could see for Meganium, it could either stay pure grass, or the only other type I can really see for it is Grass Fairy, because of just its generic design. You know, in the first place it's got a flower around its neck which is fairly petally, and you know, you guys get the idea there. Of course it could also get a typing like Grass Fire possibly, but I really can't see that happening unless there was a huge design shift, and usually with Megas there isn't a huge change, it's only very subtle in size or extra additions. It's not like they change the whole design to fit a new typing. So Grass or Grass Fairy would fit best for me, I think. Stat change wise, for Meganium, I would see it being not fully defensive, as some people suggest, but sort of a mix between defensive and attacking. So not like the strongest in either, but having some decent physical defense as well as having a decent special attack. Its special defense would also get a decent boost as well, you would assume. But not as much. So it's not going to have a really high stat, it's more going to be sort of averaged over defense, special defense, and special attack. Physical attack, maybe a small boost there, and then speed, maybe a small boost there, or maybe even just sort of keep it the same. But generally, yeah, not too much of a change, sort of radical change with the stat changes here, because it's just making Meganium, you just need some boosts really. Ability wise, well, it could carry across its hidden ability, which is Leaf Guard, which I believe stops it from getting status conditions when the sun is up. If I'm correct, thinking that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But that's not the best ability, of course, because it relies on the sun being up, and of course you having the chance to get, status of some sort. So one other possibility is Regenerator, which would regenerate health points every time you leave battle, which will work pretty well with the fact that Meganium is going to be reasonably defensive. You can switch out, get some health points back, switch back in, use another attack, and keep going like that if you really wanted to. But it would just make sense as well as a plant. Surely plants heal over time. It would just, I feel like, make sense in terms of Meganium and Mega Meganium sort of generic sort of idea and design. And then here for the last theorised ability, I'm actually starting in Johto. Every now and again, maybe not every week, but for a couple Pokemon every now and again, I'm going to be sort of thinking about a new ability they might introduce for this Pokemon, because obviously you can't just fit every single ability currently onto Megas. Some need an extra sort of change to the ability, or a new ability, or whatever. So we're going to talk about that here. And for Meganium, this ability is Vast Plains, is the sort of the term I've seen thrown around for this. And basically what this would do, it would automatically activate grassy terrain upon Meganium entering battle, so similarly how Drought and Drizzle work, except instead of being weather, it's now a terrain sort of thing. And as I mentioned in previous videos for the Kanto section, maybe they want to actually make terrain more usable and competitive, because right now you actually have to use a move, I'm pretty sure, to set them up, which isn't the best sort of thing really, because it's a move and it doesn't have that much of an effect. But obviously it would help. It would help certainly, just to have it set up when you're going in, rather than having to use a move for it. What does grassy terrain itself do? Well, it envelops the field basically, and any Pokemon on the ground restores a 16th for their health points at the end of every turn. So everyone on the ground, so not just Meganium and grass types, every Pokemon on the ground. So it's a bit of a weird one in that sense. But it also increases damage done by grass type moves used by these effective Pokemon by 50%. So Meganium will get a 50% boost on all its grass type moves, plus obviously its stab as usual, which is pretty cool. Now, other moves are actually effective here. The power of Earthquake, Bulldoze, and Magnitude is actually halved. So obviously it's not the best. It's not going to really change Meganium too much, because it doesn't really take much damage from those moves. But it would certainly help if you went in and had Grassy Terrain pop up and then switched that to a Fire type, for example. And then also, while as an effect, Nature Power becomes Energy Ball, and then just some change to other types of moves like that. And obviously, any Pokemon with the ability Grass Pelt on your team, or possibly the enemy team, would get a double, a doubling of their defense. I'm pretty 50% increase in their defense. So I felt it'd be a really good sort of move, or ability rather, for Meganium to have, for Mega Meganium to have, because obviously it gets the boost on its grass type moves, so it's sort of it's a grass type version of Sun or Rain or whatever. So I felt that'd be really good, and obviously you could combo it with other stuff as well. So that's Mega Meganium there. If you have any ideas or thoughts on, that's what I want to hear from you guys now. Let me know your creative ability ideas. Can you make up any more abilities for Mega Meganium or any of these Pokemon to have? That would really make sense and work quite well. If you can, let me know down below. But move on to the second Pokemon for today, which is going to be Mega Typhlosion, of course. The final evolution for Cyndaquil, the Johto Starter, Johto Fire Starter, and obviously Mega Typhlosion. So Typhlosion is a pure Fire type when we first see it. So what typing would Mega Typhlosion be? Well, of course it could stay pure Fire, as we had Mega Meganium possibly staying pure Grass. The Pokemon Game Freak, when they make these Johto Megas, which I will talk about in a minute, they could either keep them all the same type, they could either give them all secondary typings, or they could do a mix. It would make sense if they did the same thing for all of them, but there's no rules saying they can keep one grass and then change the other one. But the secondary typing for Typhlosion, I would say, is Fire Ground, because it is, I can't remember the exact, it's the eruption Pokemon, I think. It's something to do with, its name, its species name is something to do with eruptions, and Fire Ground would make a lot of sense there. We also have Torkoal and Camerupt, who have sort of relations to volcanoes and eruptions. Obviously Camerupt is a Fire Ground type, so it would make sense here. Stat change wise, rather than, as opposed to Mega Meganium being a defensive Pokemon, I would see Mega Typhlosion being quite speedy and also quite specially attacking as well. So getting a boost to both of those. Slight boosts in defense maybe, and maybe a decent boost in physical attack as well, so it can be mixed or physical. But generally, speed, it would be its main boost. Ability wise, it can carry across the hidden ability it has, which is Flash Fire. Not the best ability though, so we'll look at other ones of course. One idea I've sort of thrown around online is No Guard, which obviously means that all moves will hit regardless of accuracy, which is pretty good, I mean, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head what moves Typhlosion gets that haven't got very good accuracy, but it would allow it to use moves like Stone Edge, for example, if it were a physical attacker with 100% accuracy, similar to how Machamp can use those moves. So I felt it would be really, really powerful for a Mega Typhlosion to have, and it would just allow it to sort of run rampant on the field. Or alternatively, it could have a new ability, and the ability I've chosen here, the name I'm giving it, is Molten Hot. And basically what this would do is it would make Typhlosion immune to both water and ground type moves, or maybe just one of them. And this is similar to what people wanted to see for a Mega Groudon, or Primal Groudon, or Mega Camerupt, as in some sort of ability to make them immune to water. Of course, Groudon has that sort of ability because when it puts up the sort of harsh sun and water type moves just don't work. But maybe Mega Typhlosion get a weaker sort of type of that, because obviously it's not really as powerful as Primal Groudon. But get a weaker version of that in case it's just a case of water type moves don't affect it. Maybe ground type moves as well, but it's up for debate, of course. But maybe just water type moves it's immune to, which of course, if it were to become a Fire Ground type, water type moves would be a big threat to Mega Typhlosion. But if you have that ability, then immune to water type moves, and it will allow it to just run around and not have to worry about this 4 times weakness. So that's Mega Typhlosion there. Again, if you have any ideas, let me know. Then we have the final Johto Starter, of course, Mega Feraligatr, final evolution of Crocodile. It's not Crocodile, is it? Totodile, that's the one, Totodile, got it, okay. So obviously Feraligatr is a pure water type, however there are several more typing possibilities for Mega Feraligatr than there were previously for the Meganium and Typhlosion. Of course it could stay pure water, as we discussed already for the other two, but also it could become water ice type, since it is a crocodile, so it could become like an ice crocodile. Or it could become a dark like crocodile, since this mega design sort of echoes that, and become a water dark type. Or it could take on a very dragonic appearance and become a water dragon type. So there's loads of options there for Mega Feraligatr. Stat changes, as opposed to the other two, is not really a special attacker, so obviously it would get a physical attack boost, and I'm going for a physical defense boost here, sort of just focusing on physical for Mega Feraligatr. Maybe a small speed boost and maybe small boosts in special attack and special defense, but mainly physical attack and defense. Make it nice and bulky and make it nice and hard hitting as well. Ability wise, Feraligatr is really the only one that can actually take its hidden ability across and keep it, because that's Sheer Force, and Sheer Force gives it some pretty good sort of bonuses anyway, like Ice Fang can get a bonus, Ice Punch I'm pretty sure we'll get a bonus, and stuff like that. Of course it could get other ability options though, one being Tough Claws, because look at Feraligatr's arms already, they're pretty pretty menacing, so imagine a Mega of that, and this design echoes it pretty well. Tough Claws obviously would power up any physical moves. It's similar to what Mega Charizard X gets, or the same ability exactly, but powers up any sort of physical moves that make contact. And that would obviously give it power across, as well as similar to Shift Force, of course, giving power across all its physical moves. The final option though is adaptability. There's no custom ability here, because any of these would work fine for it, but adaptability as well, if it becomes Water Ice, Water Dark or Water Dragon type, it's going to help out a lot, because Ice, Dark, Dragon and Water, depending on the typing it is, will get a sort of change from stab being 2 times up to 3 times, so it would be very, very powerful indeed. So let's make a Feraligatr for you. There's not too much to say there, it's not as creative as the previous, but it's basically just a hard hitting physical attacker. Obviously, Johto Mega Evolutions are sort of the most likely out of any of the Johto Pokemon that we can predict, because Kanto have Mega Evolutions, Hone have Mega Evolutions, Johto's right in the middle. I'm predicting that we're going to have Johto Mega Evolutions in Sun and Moon, but of course that might not be right, but I certainly hope so, and I hope you guys hope so as well. If you have any ideas or any sort of thoughts on Johto Mega Evolutions for the starters cropping up in Sun and Moon, let me know down below. But then we move on to the Pokemon that are less likely to get Mega Evolutions, starting off with Mega Furret. So Furret is the equivalent of Raticate or Bibarel or whatever, and is a pure normal type. So what typing could a Mega Furret be? Well, of course it could stay pure normal, or the only typing I could really see is a normal dark type, and this is sort of echoed in this design here. It's fairly similar to what I would imagine. Obviously normal dark is 4 times weak to fighting, which isn't the best typing of course, but that's the only other typing I could see apart from normal if it were to get a Mega Evolution. Stat changes, I would say it being a nice speedy physical attacker really. It's what Furret is to begin with, it's not got any special attacking moves it can really take much advantage of. It's not a defensive Pokemon, it's all about the speed and about the attacking basically. Ability wise, it has Keen Eye, which is one of its normal abilities I believe, so it could certainly carry across Keen Eye and have no accuracy reduction, but of course not the best ability. One I thought of was Scrappy, maybe it would work very well, obviously allowing it to hit ghost types with normal type moves. If it were to stay at pure normal type, that would make a lot of sense. Normal dark type obviously doesn't really need that, because if it uses any dark type move it can just pretty much do loads of damage to a ghost type, but Scrappy would be an idea if it stayed pure normal. And then finally we have Speed Boost, which I think would make a lot of sense if we were going for the speedy route. Every turn Furret gets a nice speed boost and makes it nice and speedy, although it's going to have obviously fairly low defenses to combat this, because if Mega Furret does happen, it's not going to be the strongest Mega Evolution as we might expect. So that's that. Then the final Pokemon for today, we're going to look at the other normal type from the start of the Johto Dex, which is Mega Noctowl. Noctowl being a normal flying type to begin with, what typing could we see as a Mega? Well, of course it could stay normal flying, or the other typing I see thrown around a lot for Mega Noctowl is a psychic flying type, because it seems to have some links to psychicness. To begin with, it could learn moves like Psychic and Confusion, I believe, so Psychic Flying isn't too much of a push there. Stat change wise, of course, if it was to become pure, part Psychic type, it would have to, most likely have a special attack boost. Of course, it could have a physical attack boost as well and become a physical attacker if it gets Zen Headbutt, but apart from that, probably special attack is where it's going to get the boost in, and probably speed as well. I can't see it being a defensive Mega Evolution at all, even if it were just special defense. It would have to be sort of a fairly quick Pokemon as well to give it some nice boosts. Then the ability, Keen Eye is again one of its normal abilities, which would, reduce or stop the same. I spoke about it just now. I can't remember. I believe I've forgotten it, but it would stop your accuracy being reduced, and also the other option would be Compound Eyes, which would increase your accuracy to begin with. So both of those are similar, but of course Compound Eyes will give you probably the better benefit, since in competitive Keen Eye doesn't really take much effect because you don't generally reduce other people's accuracy, but Compound Eyes would increase the accuracy on little moves, or all moves, so moves like Hit and Assist would actually have a higher chance of hitting, so it might be quite powerful in that sense. Or the other ability I'm going to suggest here for Noctowl is Aerialate, which obviously changes normal type moves into flying type moves. This would be helpful if it were to get a psychic flying type, since obviously any powerful normal type moves it gets aren't going to be getting stabbed anymore, whereas if you change into flying type moves, they're still going to get stabbed. So if it were to become a psychic flying type, I would see Aerialate being a big possibility, and of course if it were to stay normal flying, Compound Eyes would work pretty well as well. But those are the 5 Mega Evolutions for today, guys. This is going to be it for me for today. Let me know down below what your thoughts on these Johto Pokemon are, these Johto Mega Evolutions, especially the starters. Do you think we're going to see them in Sun and Moon? And what are your thoughts and theories on what they might be like? But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.